Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Patrick.
And this week, we are joined by the Crystal Beth.
That's me. I'm here.
And we are lucky to have you.
I'm very excited. We've been trying to get together for quite some time.
Yeah.
So this is some history in the making, I think.
Yeah, and it works out, that you got to be on for a Star Wars movie, so.
Oh, I know. I don't talk about Star Wars enough, I think.
Yeah. Well, usually just 1 minute at a time.
Right, exactly. Just one little section.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to talk about it any other way. I had to sign a contract with Pete and Alex.
Oh. Well, I hope they don't hear this then, so.
I know, just shh.
So if you're new to the show, each episode we look at the next movie from our list of movies, which can be found over on our website, realpodcastnetwork.com/list. And Patrick, what are we talking about this week?
This is awkward. I watched Spaceballs again.
Son of a bitch. You do this to me every time.
Oh, we're watching Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So awesome.
I always remember this one. This is my Star Wars right here.
Yeah.
And probably because of the Ewoks.
The Ewoks are adorable.
Yeah. Crystal, what's your history with Return of the Jedi?
It's my favorite one.
Okay.
So that's that. I mean, it's hard to, it's like trying to figure out who's your favorite kid. You're like,
yeah.
Well, I really like this one because it's the best athlete, but like this one's really great because they have a great personality. It's kind of like that with Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, where Empire Strikes Back, it's a great film, just all around good film. Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie, where I just have so much fun watching it.
Right on.
And I do not remember the first time I saw Star Wars. I know that by the time I saw Return of the Jedi, that was when my relationship to Star Wars had solidified enough that I remember watching it and enjoying it as opposed to watching it and having my child brain kind of figure out, like, do I like this? Is this the direction I want my life to go in? What's happening? And then Return of the Jedi, I was like, yep, this is all I care about.
Sweet.
Nice.
Patrick, what about you?
Again, I think it's probably just the age. Like, perhaps if I was, 10 or 12 when the first one came out, this one wouldn't be as high, but since this came out in 83, so
yeah.
Obviously I was like 2, so I started watching it, and I think this was the one that was the most entertaining for me as a small child.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got a lot going on, so it keeps you like engaged the whole time. There's not like that many slow parts to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Ewoks are awesome, so as a small kid, I mean,
yeah,
it's basically like Muppets,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were, and that's the thing with Return of the Jedi. I think that older people and people that saw this as they got older, they were hesitant about the Ewoks because they were so funny.
Yeah.
And then when you're a kid, it's like, no, those are cute, and that makes me happy. This is something I can relate to. It's a stuffed animal.
Some of them are terrifying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well,
you're not kidding.
It doesn't help that for the special edition or whatever, the version I watched, they added blinking eyelids as one of the special feature, digital additions to the movie.
So stupid.
When you know that, it's kind of unsettling when you see it. I think.
Okay, I thought I just never noticed that before.
Okay,
because it blinked horizontally and vertically, like they blinked in both directions.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah, like the first Ewok that comes across Leia.
Yeah.
You get a good close up on his face, and his eyes blink in a vertical slit.
Huh.
He's got 2 different sets of eyelids or something.
When I can remember being on G-chat with one of my friends when the Blu-ray was coming out, and he told me that they were going to make the Ewoks blink, and I did not and have not and will not ever watch the Blu-ray version.
Okay.
When you said that's what we were talking about, I was like, cool, I'll talk about it and I'll look at the things that are different, but I will not watch it. Like the special edition was enough.
Yeah.
I do not need to see an Ewok blink. I don't need to see it. I didn't miss it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
unnerving.
fine that you're not as complete of a person as I am now.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You're a better human than I am.
Let's see. So we should probably talk about the act breaks and then actually get into tearing this thing apart.
Nice.
I had
in the sense you don't like this as much.
No, not at all. No, this it was a good experience. So,
Okay.
I think the act breaks on this one feel pretty straightforward. I think end of Act 1 is when they all are basically leaving Tatooine after the sail barge explodes, and they free everybody basically.
Okay, yeah.
Is that what you had, Patrick?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. And then for Act 2, the end of Act 2 is when Luke decides to leave Endor and, basically surrenders himself to Vader.
So basically anytime Luke takes off on his own.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a big boy now.
Yeah.
He can do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I have written down in my notes that Act 3 ends with the credits.
Oh, good.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page with that one.
Totally. Okay, so yeah, we can just take turns hitting a few acts or a few points. So, Crystal, if you would like to take it away.
All right. Well, for Act 1, I rewatched this for the show because I was like, I just realized I hadn't seen Star Wars. I hadn't seen Return of the Jedi in a year or two, which is very long time for me. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect reason to actually sit down and be able to have time to watch a movie besides The Fifth Element. And I forgot how slow the beginning of the movie is.
Yeah.
It takes a little too long to get started, but that's, the 80s. Everything was a little bit slower, and I forget how conditioned I got to really quick, choppy edits. But I love Act 1 of this, even though it does take a little bit long. But I remember loving how defiant Leia was when Jabba chained her up and took her, and how grossed out she was by him. Because I want to think that I'd be like that, but I know that I'm so darn polite that if Jabba was like, "Oh, you'll soon learn," and he goes licks Leia's face, and she's like, "Oh," I'd be like, that's nice, as opposed to having a strong, good reaction. I'm always like, I think that I wouldn't be able to do that like her. But yeah, I liked that part, and I remember being so confused that it was Leia inside of the Bausch costume.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But she loves him, and it's adorable, and the best romance in the world.
Yeah, it's something else. I remember watching that and being really confused when Leia popped out of that costume.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't something I was expecting.
Yeah.
I had no reason to believe there was some kind of hidden mission going on with that weird faced person.
Yeah.
Right?
So kudos to them.
Yeah. And I remember when earlier in the movie when Lando pulls down his little face mask, I was like, what's he doing there?
Right.
And it never connected. I don't
It's
I had no idea.
It's that weird throwaway line that 3PO says about, I think Chewbacca and Lando never returned from this horrible place or something as they're walking up to the door. Yeah.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, you don't want C-3PO to know anything because he would just give away all the information.
Right. Kind of going back to what you had said about it taking a little while to get going in the first act. That was one of my notes as well. It's weird that you get the setup of the droids and then Luke's message, which is fine. Then you have the introduction of Boosh and Chewie, and then you see Lando, and then just the sequence with Leia and Han. It's like it's trying to start the act a few times, like reintroducing all these characters. I think it could have benefited just from a few little cuts away to seeing what is going on with Vader and the Empire. And
yes.
But it doesn't help as well that basically the only characters we can understand are 3PO, and then obviously a little bit of like with Luke and his message, but then the rest of it is either alien language that's not subtitled or Jabba's subtitling, and then Bib Fortuna's broken English or broken basic, some of his words you can understand. So it's just kind of off putting a little bit. Like, I don't know. I just want someone that I recognize to, start talking about something.
Right. It was always interesting. I mean, I like that they do subtitles sometimes, because I don't think you need subtitles all the time, especially when someone's translating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, pick one.
Right. Yeah.
Either don't have subtitles and have a translator, or something like with C-3PO and R2-D2. I don't need to know what R2-D2 says because C-3PO responds the right way.
Right.
Either pick one, because I don't even want to say I get confused, because I don't get confused. I know how to watch movies. But it is jarring when you go from reading to expecting something to be read. And then, and honestly, with Jabba, you don't ever need to know what he says because he's just being an a-hole.
Yeah.
I also have written down for Act 1 that I never really noticed. I mean, I noticed and I knew how it started, but I didn't put two and two together, that the movie starts with a group of people going to the Death Star needing a code clearance to get in.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I know it's there. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, but again, I think it really comes from working with Movies by Minutes, where you start to focus on all the stuff that you never would have and different things that link together.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was warming you up for the Endor group.
Right. Planting that seed that.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's important, and you will be destroyed if you don't do this correctly. And as I was watching it made the gravity of when they're flying and Luke's like, Vader's on that ship.
Yeah.
Makes it so much heavier. And I was like, oh, wow, well done.
Nice.
I love you.
Patrick, what do you got?
I think I'm going to put a hole in the greatest love story ever told between Han and Leia for two reasons.
Okay.
First of all, we know Leia's pretty strong. I mean, she basically chokes out a giant slug thing known as Jabba with her bare hands and a chain.
Yeah.
So she's got strength. Yet when she dethaws Han, she just lets him belly flop onto the floor face first.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
And, he's like asking, who is this? Because obviously it was some jerk. But no, it was Leia, somebody that loves him, but not enough to catch him.
I think that just sort of, it's a snapshot of what their relationship's like, though. They've got the weirdest, and when people say it's the best, oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts that are trying to come out right now. When people say it's the best love story, I don't agree ever. I think it's a great lust story. They're definitely in lust. They're not in love. I think that they're both attracted to their worst qualities, which is not a good reason to be in love with someone.
Yeah.
And when they're getting married, use the I love you, I know stuff, it makes me feel weird because of how strongly I feel about how they do not have a good relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I don't ever want if I say I love you to someone and they say I know, I'm like, all right, that's cute.
Right.
But like, really say it, because
Yeah.
they're both just so cocky that
Yeah.
they don't get to the actual love and respect. And she let him fall out of carbonite. Comes back to exactly what you're saying.
And that's probably why they're not together in Force Awakens.
Oh,
Yeah.
spoiler. God.
Ah.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was just kind of odd that he just fell on his face and
Yeah.
she's just like, eh.
That's fun.
But thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I like how wet he was when he got out.
Yeah.
He's just so wet, which is not what I was expecting, because when you think of someone getting frozen in carbonite, I know that when you thaw, when you're from freezing, you get wet, but I was thinking more like dry ice.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the fog comes up, or like the what gas comes up in Empire. I just pictured him being like extra dry, like really parched, like I need water.
Cotton mouthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was just like sweating like crazy because it like the whole thing he's in sort of turns reddish.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like superheated or something. And I thought he was just sweaty and gross or something like that. I didn't really think about it too much if I could help it.
What happens when they have to go, when he has to go to the bathroom? He's been there for a long time. Like, what's up with that? That's neither here nor there.
I'm thinking just all biological functions cease, or they basically are frozen at that, whatever. Like if he had to pee when he got frozen, he's got to pee as soon as he gets out of there. But
like suspended animation.
I think it's just frozen in whatever place they were before.
Just sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I did like how Jabba used Han to tie his layer together.
Yeah, he really.
He had it like weirdly on display, and I guess I kind of get that, but it was just
it
was kind of weird.
And is that because he's now like one of the heroes of the rebellion, or because you don't get the sense, unfortunately we meet Jabba in the current version of Star Wars, which I think really takes away from the punch that you get from seeing Jabba in Jedi. But you don't get that sense of, if you fail me, you're going to become a trophy in my palace. But
he has no other trophies.
Yeah.
Like I thought there'd be like a whole wall of dudes.
They should have had the Predator skull and the alien skull next to it.
Maybe he has a specific trophy room for all of that in his giant, gross palace. But that one was the one where he was like, nope, I need to embarrass this man more than just giving the 2 times a day tour of my heads mounted on a wall. He's like, I need him in my throne room, and I want to look at his frozen face every day.
Yeah. And it's probably not every day you get a frozen carbonite block of, someone who failed you. So
that's
probably just it's a special circumstances kind of thing.
Yeah, he's like, look what I can do. Yeah. Everyone should be afraid of me.
Yeah.
I can freeze you, or I can hire someone to freeze you and then bring them to me.
Yeah. That's one of the things I like about Jabba is when Leia as Boushh has the thermal detonator and he just kind of laughs it off like, that's cute.
Yeah.
Nice. There's just one more thing. I think I need help trying to remember this.
Okay.
I wrote down that Luke uses the Force choke.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the dark art of Force power? Or no?
I don't know if he's learned that. See, that's the problem with Luke, is that he doesn't have the teachers that everyone has.
Right.
So while Darth Vader does do the Force choke, I don't know even if there is a rumor going around that that's what Darth Vader does and it gets to the Rebel Alliance, obviously they've seen it happen in New Hope when he's force choking him, but it could be one of those things where you're like, oh, that's something you do with the Force, as opposed to it being like, oh, good guys don't do that.
Right.
It's like, yeah, the Force choke, that's what people do, because the only person they know that does it. So maybe it's less of a, oh, you're following the dark side, and more of a, oh yeah, this is how the Force works.
Yeah.
You Force choke. Even if it's bad, you just, that's what you do.
Okay, yeah, because I've always associated it with Vader, and I know the lightning is really the mega move for the Dark Force, but
then Yoda uses it, in I think both in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. It's all in how and the purpose and the reasons why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Luke's choking some defenseless guards that he could just mind trick to ignore him.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's the striking thing about it is, you see him for the first time and all cloaked in black, and he's using force choke. It's
those poor Gamorrean guards can't catch a break.
No.
They're just they're like, this is, everyone laughs when they die and they're getting choked out. They're like, God, we just want to guard a palace.
Yeah.
We were upgraded from the local mall. We're finally at a palace, and we all just keep dying.
You will bring Captain Solo and the Wookiee to me. Nevertheless, I'm taking Captain Solo and his friends. You can either profit by this or be destroyed. It's your choice, but I warn you not to underestimate my power.
So what is Luke's plan ultimately? Because I can go with the idea that he's a Jedi Knight now. He's confident, and he's going to go in here, and he knows that his bargaining is not going to work, and obviously he plants R2 there. I don't know. It falls apart for me when he does the force grab of someone's gun, but then is immediately overpowered. And then, so he gets, captured as well. And then I have a problem with, once they're out on the sail barge, he could not have planned for R2 to have been in position, on the sail barge as well with his lightsaber, to be there for him. That's where I have a hard problem with what was Luke's plan ultimately.
So my thoughts on this are that they had up to plan D.
Yeah.
And I think that they needed, for this to succeed, they knew they were going up against a not nice man who's pretty smart and has a lot of resources at his fingertips. And I think that they had different plans set out that were like, okay, so if they don't just let Chewie go with Leia, what are they going to do with Chewie in jail? If Luke comes and they give them Han, what are they going to do with that? If Luke comes and if they don't give Han and C-3PO, what will happen with that? What will happen if they try to kill him in the castle? What will happen when they try to kill him outside the castle? And I think that they know Jabba well enough that they could figure out that they're either going to try to kill them at the Rancor,
right,
or in the palace. Maybe not the Rancor, because Luke looks kind of confused when it's about to happen.
Yeah.
But they probably knew. One of Jabba's favorite things was the Sarlacc pit.
Sure.
In Extended Universe, they say it too.
Okay.
So my guess is they had contingency plans set up so that different things that would happen. I don't think that they thought that Leia was going to be a slave, and you can kind of tell that when she's sitting on him and her and Luke look at each other and they're like, oh no.
Yeah.
We didn't realize this was a thing, but I guarantee you the part going out on the sail barge for the Sarlacc was planned. I mean, obviously I guarantee you because it's in the movie, but I really think that was well thought out.
Yeah. And maybe that's why Lando was there. Maybe he was just getting all the intel, and then maybe he knew that the sail barge needed an R2 unit, or maybe he's the reason that the sail barge needs a new R2 unit. So maybe that was the planting
Wasn't
those.
he just serving drinks?
Yeah, exactly. But okay,
so they were short one waiter basically,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a movie, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still fun to talk about, though.
Oh yeah. And you mentioned the Rancor, and that is one of my favorite parts of this movie because it holds up so well.
It does.
There's one or two, like the projection at the end of the fight when the Rancor's dead and Malakili comes in and he's crying and it's him and someone else. You can tell that it's a big projection behind them. Mm-hmm. That's probably one of the only spots that it doesn't look great, but the rest of
it's not even that jarring.
No, it's not.
You take it as what that is because that's when it came out, but I mean, we're not up to the what holds up part yet.
No, yeah.
But I'll go into that when we get there.
Right on. Let's see.
Oh, I forgot to mention. I kind of talked with you about this, Travis, the other day, but I guess, lack for a better word, the doorbell guy. He protrudes out with the mechanical eye thing.
Yeah.
It made me think of an old Disney movie called Flight of the Navigator.
Oh my gosh. I haven't thought about that movie in forever. It's so good.
That's one that I've never seen.
Yeah, but it made me think of that guy. I mean, obviously, Flight of the Navigator, the computer AI in the ship is kind of annoying, but like the whole look of like this protruding like mechanical eye thing, it just made me flash back to that movie.
Man, that movie scared the crap out of me when I was little.
Really?
I don't know why. There's something. The two scariest movies I watched when I was younger there was a bunch. I was scared of everything. But E.T., Flight of the Navigator, and Neverending Story.
Yeah.
For some reason, and Secret of NIMH.
I was going to say Secret of NIMH.
Whew.
Yeah.
But Flight of the Navigator was one of them where I was just like, there's something about this that makes me feel really uncomfortable and scared. And I think it was just the fact that it was aliens, maybe. But well, that and Cocoon too. All right, I'm not going to label. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop right now because there's going to be so many more.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. You should watch it.
Coming out of a pool. What Cocoon isn't that?
Yeah, I didn't like the furry thing at the bottom of the pool. And I know it's the weirdest thing, but that made me feel real gross.
Okay.
Anyway, we're not going to talk about that now. Getting PTSD flashbacks.
So you won't be doing Cocoon Minute then?
No.
Okay.
There you go, Patrick. You can scoop that one up.
Yeah, I'm going to do all the Wilford Brimley movies.
Well, we already did the thing.
Yep.
Someone should have David Attenborough in it.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's all I had on Act 1, really.
Yeah. I just noted like some of the downsides of the once they get into the Sarlacc pit fight, a lot of it's good. Luke, hopping around and doing his Jedi moves is really, really sweet. I like that Leia sees the opportunity right then to choke out Jabba. But then you got a lot of the Boba Fett stuff is really silly and really lackluster. And then there's a lot of sound effects that just kind of bug me a little bit. But it's a weird, action set piece that's half good and half not so good. So
yeah, it's very I don't know. I always think of like a pirate movie when I see this scene.
Yeah,
like walking a plank and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but
he is a pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the man in black.
Yeah.
But I do love the setup to just from that moment that Luke gives R2 the nod to get ready. The music cues pop in and.
Yeah, I kind of expected more limbs to go flying.
Sure.
Like, because he's flying around with that lightsaber like crazy. Like, I just thought there'd be more carnage, but it seemed to be very controlled.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have the budget for it. Although, I think this was like a $32 million budget.
I didn't look.
If I remember right.
Okay.
It was an impressive amount for the time.
Sure.
It's 32.5
Wow.
So.
to 42.7 million, but that's. I always have the Wikipedia page open to whatever we're talking about for things like that.
Yeah.
So we know it's true. 131 minutes. It's from the United States.
Nice.
All
right. Yeah. So I don't think I have anything else for Act 1. Crystal, how about you?
No, I think that's it.
I
said my piece.
I did like how they retrieved C-3PO and R2-D2.
Oh, yeah.
It's like random suction cup extensions and perfectly nailed the two robots sitting right next to each other in the sand.
It's just magnets. How do those work?
I love when Lando's hanging.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, no, wait, I thought you were blind.
Yeah.
He's like, it's okay. I can see a lot better now. It's just, so far through this whole podcast, I've been having to be like, don't just say things you like.
Right.
Have a formed opinion about something specific. Because I'll be like, I like this part. I like this part.
That's something that, I've been trying to keep myself from doing that as well.
Meet you back at the fleet.
Hurry. The Alliance should be assembled by now.
I will.
Hey, Luke, thanks. Thanks for coming after me. Now I owe you one.
That's right, R2. We're going to the Dagobah system. I have a promise to keep. An old friend.
Okay, done. Act 2, get going.
Right on.
I'm just going to go out there and say it.
Okay.
I was disturbed by the amount of ear hair that Yoda has. I don't remember it being that robust before.
That dense and lush.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like a sign that the Force is taking him over and he's going to turn into an invisible entity that floats around Luke for a while.
It's all the swampy humidity. It just,
Yeah.
He doesn't have a mirror. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He can't see. I imagine he also doesn't care.
Yeah.
He said, all my friends are
noticed
dead.
it until now. It was just crazy amount of ear hair.
Yeah. I was like, that's how you know he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Poor
You
old people.
lose hair everywhere else, and then it starts coming out of your ears.
Yeah, I picture he was like this 6'3", awesome looking green dude at one point, but now he's like 900 years old, so gravity's taking its toll.
Shrank over time.
Yeah. That's my guess.
Okay.
I think that's a good guess.
Yeah.
You don't know what space does to your body after 900 years. Who knows?
It's true. And he's on different planets with different gravitational pulls. You never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Boom. Okay, that's all I had for Act 2.
Okay.
I think it's funny that all of a sudden Leia's best friends with Wicket.
Oh, yeah.
And I jumped ahead a little bit.
Sure.
But
that's okay.
Like she has to go find her friends. And instead of doing that, she goes and hangs out in the trees.
Yeah.
I'd be like, sorry, tiny little bear. I'm not going to go that way. I need to go this way because I'm trying to find my friends. But she's like, no. This is cool. We're going to go. I'm going to shower. I'm let my hair down.
Yeah,
I'm sure my friends are fine. But what was that?
That was an impressive amount of hair.
Yes, it was.
I did not realize all that was tied up there.
And it's another example of why their love story is not the best.
Mm-hmm.
If I was with my boyfriend and we were trying to fight a bunch of people and I got lost, I'd be like, I have to find him immediately.
Yeah.
He's going to be so worried. I have to get there right now. I'd be a mess.
Well, to be fair, I don't. She doesn't know where he's leading her.
Yeah, but once you
So,
get there and
sure.
you're up in the trees, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm not going up there. My friends are on the ground.
Right.
But he did save her life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Maybe
he's
she
a
thought it'd
tiny
be weird.
thing.
So in Star Wars, like reality, does she owe him a life debt, and is she now his like faithful companion, a la Chewbacca and Han?
That would be awesome.
That would be really funny. That would make the rest of, or I would have liked to see him in episode 7.
Yeah.
Little Ewok just popping up.
Yeah.
General Organa's like, oh my gosh, please just leave me alone for a minute.
That'd be great.
All right, that's gonna have to be in the next film.
Yeah.
There's got to be something. Although I did find myself getting kind of bummed out, like now that I know, whatchamacallit, I know what's happening in the Force Awakens. So I think I'm getting more bummed out by their relationship because I know where it goes now.
Oh, they had some good times.
Yeah, but I wish I didn't know what I know now because it's kind of a bummer. Like,
Wait, what do you know?
Like with whatchamacallit, Kylo. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
son.
Mhm.
So it's like become more tragic to me than it was previously.
Yeah.
With their relationship. So I'm like, oh man, this is not gonna end well for anyone.
Yeah. There have definitely been little changes in the way I've watched these older ones now, post Force Awakens. Like even when Yoda tells Luke to pass on what you have learned, that just instantly makes me think of that the last scene in Force Awakens with Luke and Rey, and kind of the leading up to that, and knowing that he's already tried to teach some young Jedi, and maybe it didn't go so well, So it enhances kind of moments from these older movies in a really nice way.
Yeah, it's good. That part is very sad for me too.
Yeah.
And to bring a lighter side to it, I could just picture Yoda coming up in his little ghost form and being like, I gave you one job.
Yeah.
One. You're already messing it up. But at the same time, they didn't give him, and I'm not being silly here, they didn't give him a manual or a book or anything.
Right.
The amount of training that they got in the prequels, and I know that they came out after this, but I'm talking movie logic of this universe. There was so much training they went through, and no one told Luke about any of it.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you want me to pass on what I've learned? You've taught me how to do handstands, hold rocks up, how to get a ship out of the swamp, and that if I bring my weapons into a scary cave, my worst nightmare is going to show up. Like that's literally all they showed him, and he wasn't gone for much longer than that.
Yeah. To
learn that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They did not set him up for success.
No, and that's one of the things I picked up definitely this time is, Yoda and Obi-Wan really do a number on Luke. Like and I've decided basically, or just in the last few years, like I'm now lumping all 6 Star Wars movies, 7 now, into one story. I'm done with saying, well, they made the prequels later and they've changed some things. Like I now can see the entire thing as one continuous story, and a lot of it comes down to the failings of the old Jedi, Jedi masters and their council. They got complacent. They allowed the Sith to kind of take root. They couldn't see it, and then everything went to shit. And then it's just the last ditch effort of Yoda and Obi-Wan to seek out Luke and basically set him aside. And so it's really not fair to Luke to throw everything at him, poorly train him. And obviously Obi-Wan couldn't spend more time with with Luke once they decided to leave Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just kind of shitty.
Yeah.
What they put on him, and then the half-truths that Ben is giving to Luke, all the certain point of view stuff.
He's like, did I lie? It's just a point of view.
Right.
Yeah, I did tell you the truth. I'm like, no, you lied to me. I don't care. I've been in the living room, like, nodding so hard at you that I feel like I'm a mosh pit guy. But I 100% agree with everything you're saying, especially what you first said about watching all 7 movies, 8 now with Rogue One, as one thing. People that don't do that, I'm like, no, but you don't understand. Our maker is George Lucas.
Right.
And if he did this, then it is a part of something that we need to love.
Right.
If you are actually a fan. And I've said it on Star Wars Minute. I've said it anytime anyone will listen to me. I am not a prequel basher. I'll make fun of them, but it's coming from a place of absolute love where, there's some stupid stuff about them, but that's how the guy that created this franchise, series, universe, world for us, the guy that created it for us wanted that. And you know what you have to do? You have to suck it up, and you need to find the parts that you like about it, and you need to acknowledge that the world that we love of the original trilogy would not exist without the prequels, even though it was done backwards.
Right.
And once you can, I think, watch that and have healthy debates about different things that, as if this is a real universe, like you should, it's so much easier to enjoy yourself watching all of these, because the struggles of the characters mean so much more when you can, even if the backstory is not the one you personally wanted, it means more when you can put that to what they are. Yeah. Midichlorians, I will kill, but besides that.
No, I could not agree more. I basically came to I don't want to say a realization, but just one of the notes I wrote down. I believe in the Force, and I don't mean I really believe that it really truly exists, but in the world of Star Wars, I believe in the Force, but I'm not sure I believe in the Jedi anymore. And what I mean by that is just they didn't prepare Luke properly. It was I guess tried to give him the few tools that he needed just to face Vader and the Emperor, but
I think they just assume he's a prodigy. Like he's supposed to be this great and powerful being that's supposed to balance the Force or whatever. So maybe they're just like, he can wing it. Because that's essentially what they've done, is just let him try to figure it out. Yeah. I mean, I still have no idea how he built his lightsaber, but I guess he just sort of went with it. And
I imagine that was a lot of time spent with Yoda that we didn't see.
Okay.
And actually, there's a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi where he's literally putting the last pieces together. Like, I think he's sitting in the X-Wing cockpit on Tatooine right before he goes to confront Jabba, or he might be sitting in like a cave or something. But yeah, he completes the lightsaber right before that moment.
Okay. But I kind of think Leia gets the shaft too, because
sure, yeah,
he's like, okay, if I die, it's up to you, and what the hell does she know?
Yeah,
like she knows even less than Luke did.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, I think I just have a big problem with Yoda and Obi-Wan putting all their
eggs in a Luke basket.
Kind of, yeah, and expecting him to be able to deal with it, and
without telling. Oh God, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Without telling him the truth about everything,
right,
or giving him any knowledge to go off of.
Yeah, and we came down not too hard on Luke in Empire, but we talked about how every time he tries something, he fails. He failed in the cave. He failed at confronting Vader the first time. And because he was impatient and he didn't want to take the time to listen to Yoda and do the training and that kind of stuff. And, who would have been able to take those circumstances and excel,
Right. You didn't tell him, like, you get a weird feeling from a cave, and you're going to, the child that you're teaching, because Luke is a child
Yeah.
to Yoda anyway, he's like, I'm cold and scared.
Yeah.
What is it? And he's like, what's in that cave? And he's like, only what you take with you. But he's like sad and playing with the fog while he's saying it. And I'm like, no, explain what's happening.
Right, yeah.
Because if I was like, okay, there's a creepy alley that I need to go down right now, and you're going to tell me not to bring my bat with me? I'm going to bring my bat with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go. Like, what are you talking about? There could be a swamp monster in there. I don't know. Yeah. I agree. I'll say it again. They're not setting him up for success in this.
Right, yeah.
So is there a reason why they don't bring Leia into any of this stuff? If she's the backup plan?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously Yoda knows that she's there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like anyone cares to let her know that until Luke does at the very last trip to see Dad.
Right. Because that's if she's their backup plan. Yeah, I don't know. At what point are they going to reach out and say, "Oh, hey, Leia, by the way,"
Right? And Luke's just going to be like, "Listen, you're going to fail a lot.
Yeah,
trust me, I know.
You're going to go into this cave,
and you're going to chop off your own head.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to explain it. It's really weird. Messed me up for a couple hours."
So when Luke goes on, after the events of this movie, when he goes on and tries to train Jedi, he's taking these bits and pieces of broken, misinformation and, all these little things that he's picked up and trying to train a new generation of Jedi. And it's no wonder that doesn't go too well. But it makes sense that that's why he exiles himself and he goes to the first Jedi temple and tries to maybe center himself and learn how to teach or how to, I don't know, but
yeah, even the real life. My little brother didn't go to school for teaching, but he's a teacher right now at a career in tech for marine technology. And so he doesn't have any background in teaching whatsoever. So Jacob is Luke right now.
Okay.
And he's thrown into a classroom setting with 12 10th to 12th grade people. They each have their own class. But every day it's a struggle for him because he's learning how to teach, learning how to deal with children, and needing to make it fun and educational and follow the rules of what's supposed to happen. And everyone keeps telling him, oh, don't worry. After 3 years, it'll be easy. After 3 years, it'll be easy. So, and he has all of the resources near him to help him.
Yeah.
But his first year of teaching this year is exhausting. He's like, he knows what he's doing, but he's like, I am so overwhelmed by all of this stuff. And I've got students that are threatening to drop out because the career in tech is for kids that don't want to go to college and want to learn a trade. So they're not always the best students.
Yeah.
And that I feel like is literally what it must be like training Jedi that have this weird power that they don't know about, that all it takes is the flip of a coin in one bad day, one weird thing to happen in their life for them to turn to the dark side. They are so unfair to Luke.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised he had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, and then they cap it all off by, it's so shitty. Ben says, that the Emperor has already won. You were our only hope. Like,
so passive aggressive.
Oh man. So it's weird because like in Empire, I put Yoda up on such a high pedestal. And then the same thing with Ben in Star Wars. Like when those guys talk about the Force, and it's just this beautiful flowing language about what the Force is and how it can be your ally, and I love those moments, but it's weird with this one, and only at this time, like this time around, I see it differently. So it's weird how things like rewatching this movie can change, and you see things from a certain point of view, and it definitely made me more sympathetic to Luke, and not so keen on Yoda and Obi-Wan. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's unfamiliar territory for me. So
yes, I think we agree on these.
Right on.
I think we all feel the same. We feel terrible for Luke.
Yeah.
Trying to take on the whole Empire himself.
Yeah.
But I do like when he goes back and sees Yoda.
Yes. I mean, and the death scene is so great. I mean, it's sad, but,
yeah,
so
considering
well
it's
done.
a puppet. Yeah, it's very well done.
Yeah, oh yeah, the physicality of it is so beautiful. And now, like, back to what I was saying, and seeing this all as one big story, I like thinking that Yoda is now going on to see Qui-Gon again and visit, him in the Force, because that's one of my favorite things from the prequels is Qui-Gon and what he was able to do, and the fact that he then became kind of Yoda's teacher in the Force. So definitely
really like
looking
that too.
forward to getting into that, down the road. But really, I think what we came to talk about is my new cover band, which is going to be called General Madine and the Velvety Beards. So,
oh man, his felt beard. It looks like he's wearing like a hat wig.
Yeah.
Like a beard hat.
Yeah.
Connected thing. You guys don't know who I am. You can't tell who I am. The war room scene is my favorite in this whole movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. When I was going to college for theater, I didn't realize that I wanted to go to college because I went to the same trade school that my brother teaches at for cosmetology, because I was like, I don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. And I auditioned at this theater in Long Island, and I did everything wrong that you do, but on accident. It wasn't like I was being funny. And I talked on the phone, but with like my hand, like a telephone with the fingers out, the pinky and thumb out, in one audition. And they were like, no, do you have a second monologue? And I was like, it's from Star Wars.
Okay.
And you're not supposed to do monologues from movies at theater auditions because it's a movie. You do a theatrical monologue. And I did the war room scene as the characters Mon Mothma, Admiral Akbar, and General Nadine.
Wow.
And I got accepted into that school, and they flat out told me, they were like, we don't think you're good. We just think you have guts. And I was like, oh, okay, good to know. But because this scene's one of my favorites, I have the whole movie memorized.
Yeah.
But this particular scene, I say little bits and pieces from it all the time.
Disguised as a cargo ship and using a secret Imperial code, a strike team will land on the moon and deactivate the shield generator.
Sounds dangerous.
I wonder who they found to pull that off.
General Solo, is your strike team assembled?
My team's ready. I don't have a command crew for the shuttle.
That's gonna be rough, pal. I didn't want to speak for you.
That's one.
General, count me in.
I'm with you too.
It's one of my favorites. I love the setup of it. I love how serious everyone is. I love how different the three leaders of the meeting are.
Okay, yeah.
And when Han's like, I'm ready, but I don't have a crew. And he's like, it's going to be rough, pal. I don't want to speak for you. And it's like, I'm with you too. And like, it's just such a fun thing. What is it? Ask me again sometime. Like fun, like just.
Yeah.
I love it. And I get so excited when it's coming up.
Yeah. I like that we get to see our heroes like thrown together again for the first time in a while. It feels like, I mean, I know we just saw them kind of all together at the sail barge, but it feels like we haven't really seen all of them together on a mission or in a situation since Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
So,
and planning's always fun.
I wrote the band was back together when that scene hit.
Okay, yeah.
Because Luke just walks in. They're like, all right, let's do this, everybody.
Yeah.
Just like old times.
That bad, huh?
It's a new hope for everyone.
Yeah.
It's really, and then of course we get the fly casual line.
Oh yeah.
Keep your distance, Chewie, but don't look like you're keeping your distance.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites too. I don't know, fly casual.
Yeah. Those are some good moments.
But that's also next to one of my least favorite lines in the movie, which is, I'm endangering the mission. I shouldn't have come.
Yeah.
Like, not everything's about you, Luke. Calm down.
Such a drama queen.
Yep.
Well, he's got issues. I mean, his family's pretty jacked up.
Yeah.
You got Daddy Darth. You got, whatchamacallit, his nephew's going to go insane as well. And, like, it's all kinds of crazy in that family.
Yeah.
His mom lost the will to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. I'm shaking. So last night something came up about a Padme and being Luke's mom and how disappointing the birthing scene was in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And I just start going, Oompa, Oompa. And no one in the room knew what I was doing. And I was like, are you kidding? You guys are going to talk about Star Wars like you know what you're talking about and you don't know the birthing droid?
Yeah.
Come on. But yeah, so he came into the world with that. So yeah, they're screwed.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I like Act 2. I think it's a lot faster and a lot more fun. And even starting from when it starts with Dagobah, everything is just on point and you get all these little plot points that make this movie just so fun.
Yeah. It really took me out of it for a minute when I realized, Act 2, when Act 2 kind of restarts once Luke leaves Dagobah, and obviously they do the war room scene and they prepare to, but once they get to Endor, it's like, I forget how much time is in this movie is them just in the forest, on Endor. Like, for some reason, I always think they get to Endor and then they try to take out the shield generator,
Mm-hmm.
I forget about how much time they spend with just searching around in the forest, getting separated, the entire, Ewok kind of part of it.
I forget about all that time too. Even when I was watching it, I was like, I forgot how long this movie was.
I didn't mind it. It slowed it down more than I was, I think, expecting. But, I did write down speeder bike chase, ! And I took no more notes because I just sat and watched that entire sequence because it's brilliant.
It is. It's really good.
Yeah, I always like the guy that gets into the corkscrew after he gets shot.
Yeah.
So drills into the tree. I always thought that was cool as a kid.
And the sound effects were so squeaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wee, 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 wee. And this also has one of my favorite sounds, and I don't mean Star Wars related. I mean literally one of my favorite sounds, period, is Luke's lightsaber igniting right when he's, taking on the speeder bike. Just that.
It is a good one.
It's different than all the rest of them. Like sometimes they ignite with a different sound. But that one is so unique, and it's just literally one of my favorite things to hear ever. It just sounds more aggressive of a sound. It's really strange, but I love it.
That's not strange at all.
I'd like to talk about the most tender moment in this movie.
Please do.
That would be when C-3PO is telling the story. Oh, it's like story time.
Thank you.
And then the Leia leans up on Han, and then one of the Ewoks does the same thing to Han.
Yeah.
It's just a very tender moment that I always laugh at.
Yeah.
Because, like, Han's face when that happens is just awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'll take it.
It's like he's finally having fun in the movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Han has, like, the most... I think I notice his facial expressions the most in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, when they're captured. Like, I can't tell if he just has no respect for the Ewoks or what it is.
He definitely
Yes.
is mugging a lot more in this movie, and I think that's just Harrison Ford. I don't think that's because the character of Han is a little more silly in this movie than he has been so far.
Yeah.
And I do think that just comes down to the performance and not, a particular reason that Han Solo would be as lighthearted. I don't know.
I just enjoy how he has, like, zero patience for C-3PO when
Yeah.
He's like, tell them to let us go.
What did they say?
Yeah.
Hey, get our weapons back, would you?
And get us some fresh supplies, too.
Yeah.
Hurry up, will you? I don't have all day.
I love the double take that 3PO does.
That's the only sass he ever shows him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's a god now.
Yeah.
That's
He
right.
doesn't have to be talked to like that.
Golden God.
So, Patrick, you hit on something about just the Star Wars story, as I refer to it now, the 3PO telling.
Oh, yeah. Story time. Yeah.
And I love as they're watching 3PO tell this story with the sound effects and everything, which is just so great. It's the first time that I think all those involved, Leia and Han and Luke, that they get a sense that this is a legend that will go on. Like, it's, because I think for them, it's just, this is their lives and this is what has happened over the last 5 years or whatever. Like, but it's the first time that you get a sense that they're seeing this story from an outsider's point of view, like as he is telling, these little teddy bears a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really all on Leia's face, a little bit on Han's, that they now appreciate that this is a bigger thing than they realized. Like it's something that people will pass down, and it's, again, Force Awakens changes this for me in a even better way when Rey is talking to Han and, like, saying that the stories are true, or I guess that's really Han saying that,
It's
that
true.
it really
all
happened.
Of it.
Yeah, like that means more. And I already love this moment because, like I said, it was the first time you got a sense that they could see how big of a deal this was. It wasn't just it's a quiet moment where they get to see what's really been affected, and I just love it. So
Right. I like that in A New Hope when C-3PO says, I'm not much more than an interpreter and I'm not very good at telling stories. And then in Return of the Jedi, he's like the best storyteller ever.
Yeah.
Because he's a humble droid. I mean, humble's might not be the right word,
Sure.
but he doesn't talk about himself. He doesn't brag about himself, but he talks about himself all the time. But I love that he actually is very good at telling stories.
Yeah.
And if they just had him do that the whole time whenever they were on trips, they wouldn't have had to shut him off.
Yeah. 3PO, regale us with another tale.
Yeah.
So, how did you guys feel about the big reveal, that's quotes, with Leia and Luke, like that whole scene? Like, I don't know what it is, I just can't, it just seems weird to me.
Yeah,
And
that one's always
awkward.
confused me.
Okay. I didn't know if I was the only one on that one.
I don't know
No.
what Luke is getting at. Because I don't know if I guess I always assumed that Leia had an adoptive mother, which we know is the case with the Organas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he expects her to remember their birth mother, or if Leia is aware that she's adopted. Like, I never know what he is.
What I always thought when that scene was happening, when I was younger, before the prequels, before anything, was that Han and Leia, Luke and Leia were twins, and Luke got sent away first. So, because he was the boy.
Yeah.
So he was sent away first, but Leia was allowed to stay with her mom till she was like 10.
Oh, okay.
8. Somewhere where she was had enough time to remember who she was.
Yeah.
And then her mom died. And then that's when she got adopted by a friend of the family or something. And it never made sense to me as a child why one kid would get adopted instead of the other. And my thought was, because he's a boy and Darth Vader's a boy and they don't want him to be like the boy, because that's what child logic is.
So we're going to take him to his birth, the family where his ancestors grew up, and give him to the same family.
Right, exactly. They're going to hide him really well. And I think that's what I assumed happened. And then when she was like, she died when I was very young. She died when you were 3 minutes old.
Right. Yeah.
Why do you remember and Luke doesn't?
Yeah. And that's one of those.
Luke was born first. He had more time with her.
That is one of the failings, I think, of the, creating the prequels and trying to fit them into this.
Or just have like a Lord of the Rings ending where Return of the King ends 16 times and you see Padme raising Luke and Leia till they were young, and Luke suffering a fall and hitting his head on something so he can't remember his youth, but then Leia being really upset that she's getting taken from her mother, but her mother has like a disease or something.
Yeah.
Trench fever or something like that, and is like dying or something, and then as a child she's being taken to Alderaan. Like, that would have been what I did, but I'm not anyone, so
not the maker.
I didn't get a say. End it 5 times instead of killing her.
Yeah. I do appreciate Leia's look of disgust when he says that Vader is his father.
Yeah.
Your father.
Your father. Yeah.
Well, funny story. So.
Yeah.
This was Carrie Fisher's least favorite part to act in.
Oh, was it?
Yes. She was like, I can't do this. Why are you making me show these kind of emotions? I'm all for the space battles, but this is too much.
Huh.
She didn't like acting. She didn't like she liked acting, but she didn't like this kind of like.
Sure. She'd rather run down a hallway with a gun and give barking orders at Han and.
Yeah, I just didn't. It was just an awkward scene altogether.
Yeah, I've always thought that as well.
Okay.
It's not just you.
Okay.
It's awkward.
So Han comes in all huffy and puffy.
Yeah.
He's like a teenager. I swear.
know. Yeah.
He's like, oh, you can tell Luke. I see how it is. You guys are probably making out.
Yeah. It's so insecure.
Yeah,
but he has been frozen for, what is it? Is it 3 years that take place between Empire and Jedi?
Jeez, I didn't know it was that long.
It may not be quite 3, but...
Yeah, I think it's just under.
Yeah. So I guess he doesn't know how much time. He's probably just insecure about, what he's missed out on.
So in those 3 years, Luke never went back to Yoda until.
See, I think he did.
Because he says he's coming back to finish his training. I don't know. Okay.
I hope with it, and I haven't read enough of the expanded universe to know what filled that gap.
Well, it's not canon anymore, so it doesn't matter.
That's true, but
I mean, I don't agree with that. I think everything still can, or as George Hendricks from Mogwai Minute says, it's fanon.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
I just assume he went through an emo stage because all of a sudden he's in all black.
Oh,
Very
Luke.
moody.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems almost cocky sometimes.
Totally.
Like he thinks he's already a Jedi Master or something.
Except when he goes after Yoda dies.
Yeah.
He's out in the swamp talking to R2, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Because he's pretty cocky when he's up there. I'll wait until we get to Act 3.
Okay.
Anything else in Act 2? Maybe the booby traps that Ewok set up?
I don't have anything on those.
I do think those little walker guys are rather impractical for a jungle mission, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ATSTs.
Yeah, sure.
They're all-terrain scout transports.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Which is so funny that it says all-terrain because they cannot walk on logs.
No.
No, they cannot.
It's not all-terrain. It should be STSTs, which would be some terrain scout transports.
Yeah, I always think of RoboCop when I see these things.
Oh, yeah.
Like sort of RoboCop mega robot they have that can't walk upstairs because it's poorly designed. I'm
trying to think of the name of that thing.
Well, it always freaked me out because like when it falls down the stairs in RoboCop, it makes like a wild pig noise.
Yeah.
When it's caught, it's like
yeah. Sounds like a Gamorrean.
But they just are so clunky and like it's a jungle, so there's all kinds of crap to trip on. I just never understood the tactical aspect of that thing.
Which is why they need the staps that the droids use in Phantom Menace. They just kind of whip around, flying through the forest.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Nice.
Funny.
Yeah, I took some notes with the Anakin and Vader interaction.
Did you say Anakin and Vader?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant, Luke.
I knew what you meant, though.
Okay,
He's
I got
talking to
lost
himself
there.
in the corner before Luke was there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
Smeagol
talking
and Gollum.
about. Yeah, it was a Blu-ray special edition thing that you guys didn't get. So.
Okay.
Sure. No, the father-son reunion. I think it's an important scene, and it's stronger because they don't immediately start to fight each other. It's just a conversation, and some of the dialogue is a little clunky, but I like that it ends with Vader saying, it's too late for me, son. And it's truly Anakin speaking at that point. It's not the evil Lord Darth Vader telling, a rebel that it's not calling him son. This is Anakin calling Luke son.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels a little more natural with all the shit that's going on in the galaxy. It's just this quiet little moment between the two of them. And I like it. So
I like it too. It's nice to see them one-on-one, and it's nice to see Vader with his guard down a little bit. His guard's not down, but he's.
And I think that's what I mean. Why it's truly just Anakin. He's not putting up that facade of Vader.
Yeah.
I still have trouble fitting Anakin into Vader.
How do you mean?
Because I know how emotional Anakin was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how he's become basically a robot at this point. It's just crazy to think how he's gone from yelling, no.
Yeah. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's holding me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so jarring. It's like, I don't know. I just kept, even though I know it, I was just expecting him to have a tantrum at some point.
Yeah. A piece of him died with Padme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the whiny side.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, and I think that there's something to that. It's what else does he have to care about, he's now the Emperor's, lapdog, and his wife just died, and I think a lot of that emotion died with Anakin.
Yeah, I think it's just jarring because I still can think of how annoying he was in the prequels.
Sure.
And now he's like this cool, soulful guy.
Yeah.
He's just, I don't know. I know a lot of times passed, and maybe the longer you're beaten down by the Emperor, the less emotion you have or something.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to try to think of them as the same person.
Sure.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I'm good with Act 2 if you guys are.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
All groups assume attack coordinates.
Don't worry, my friend's down there. You'll have that shield down on time. Or this will be the shortest offensive of all time.
All craft, prepare to jump into hyperspace on my mark.
All right, stand by.
Now we get to Act 3, the great collector of Skywalkers, known as the Emperor.
Yeah.
He's like a creepy little, basically a collector. He's like, now I'll have the whole Skywalker set. Excellent.
You, like your father, are now mine for my trophy shelf that I keep in my back room.
Mint.
Yeah.
Mint, not outside the box. Haha.
Until he finds out about Leia.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
He's technically another Skywalker.
Sister.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so creepy.
Yeah, I really like the Emperor in this, and he's so downplayed, and he plays it subtly, even though he's kind of cackling maniacally sometimes. But it's easy to overlook how good the Emperor is in this movie.
I'm looking forward to completing your training. In time, you will call me Master.
You're gravely mistaken. You won't convert me as you did my father.
Oh no, my young Jedi. You will find that it is you who are mistaken about a great many things.
Yes, I could not agree more with you. I think he does a really, really good job, and it's because it's so grounded. He's a crazy character. If you saw the makeup and you read the lines, that's a crazy person.
Yeah.
But because he plays it truthfully, and I'm guessing did a lot of work on the backstory for his own peace of mind, he feels real. There are people that are, or that he makes me think that there are people that are like this. I've never met any, but I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
That are just awful to the core. But he also, the way that he's awful makes me think that he does not think he's awful. If he was at dinner with one of his friends, he would be like, man, they're really getting to me.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. So he knows he's a bad guy, but in his life, he's the hero, and he plays that well.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to throw Harry Potter in here. It's the greater good that he's probably thinking of. He's doing all these horrible things, but in the end, it's going to bring, order to the Empire and the galaxy or whatever.
See, I disagree completely.
Really?
Yeah, I think, it's Palpatine from the prequels, and nothing about that guy makes me feel like he wants to take control so that, and he says it to the Senate, now we can have peace and we'll rule the galaxy together, or whatever he says in that when he takes control. But I think from the start, he is just pure evil. Everything's going to all of his plans from the get-go, from Phantom Menace to building the Republic army in Attack of the Clones to obviously converting Anakin and Sith, and none of that ever feels like he's really trying to bring peace or, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's peace. It's he wants to be in control. Like,
yeah, but I think purely because he's a Sith Lord and he just wants power.
I agree that I think that he just wants power, but I think that his want and need for power in his, like, I think he knows that he's evil.
Yeah.
But it's not coming from evil. It's coming from it's really hard to describe it. I'm trying to think of something I can equate it to that makes sense in my head, but the feelings I'm getting about it are, it is evil what he's doing, but his point of view is that he needs the power because of, I guess, self-esteem issues, which is such a silly thing to say, but like, it's making him feel good to be, he's a horrible person and there's no excuse for what he's doing. But in his mind, I know he knows he's ruining people's lives, but it's bettering his life. He's just very selfish.
Yeah. I would kind of like to see a prequel story of, you know, young Sheev running around on Naboo. Like, what made him go down the Sith road? It'd be a dangerous story to tell, because if you didn't get it right, it wouldn't, because it could feel like setting up Anakin as the adorable little kid who falls from, you know.
I've listened to an audiobook, sort of the origin of Palpatine.
Okay.
I think I want to say Darth Sidious is the guy that kind of shapes him.
Well, he is Darth Sidious.
Or,
yes.
Plagueis?
Plagueis, yes.
Yeah.
Darth Plagueis.
Yes. Sorry. They all have horrible, evil names.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go into like his super young years,
yeah.
But I've always gotten the vibe that he's just been super ambitious, and he was sort of sought after because he had a natural instinct to manipulate people, and I think Plagueis showed him the dark side and how you could extend your life. So I think he's just been like, he's always been like this greedy soul that just is constantly hungering for something.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got sort of amplified with the dark side.
Well, that's the whole thing. When people start getting power, it's the same thing with goals. Like, once you achieve those goals, you want bigger and loftier goals, and his just happened to be all horrible. Like, really mean to people. But like, once you get somewhere, and I was actually reading an article yesterday about how 70% of millionaires don't think that they're wealthy because they see what other people have and they're trying to get there. So they're like, yeah, like, I have this money, but like, it's not a lot because this is how much I want. As opposed to me, where I'm like, dude, you got $1,000? You're rich?
Yeah.
You're a rich person. So it's every time you reach a goal, the next one is that much further away. And he's just, it started with maybe wanting to be in politics for him. And he was going about it a good way and campaigning, but then all of a sudden he kept losing. And finally he broke the kneecaps of the guy he was against or threatened his family and was like, wow, this is much easier.
Yeah.
And then it was this and then this and then this and then this. And finally he's got so big that he's lost sight of what makes him a giant piece of crap. And it's just like, this is what I want and I'm going to get it. And even if he wanted to turn back, he couldn't.
Yeah, he's basically trying to turn himself into a god, as far as I can tell. Like
Flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, because he's, everything has been done because of his will, and he can, tell the future, live forever, or at least, hold off on death at least for a while. Like, he's more and more trying to become like a god that basically everyone else is his playthings.
Yeah.
It's a weird character because it's just, how evil can you make somebody?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did enjoy Luke's sort of, I want to say cocky.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, your arrogance is your weakness, your downfall, or whatever it was.
The overconfidence.
Yeah.
Is
and I was just like, wow, ballsy move there, Luke.
But I like Palpatine's response that his, the faith in his friends is his.
Your faith in your friends is yours.
Yeah. It's a great little.
And it's so quick and fast. And you can see that he's not used to getting talked to like that.
Yeah. Right.
And he gets real nasty. Like old lady nasty. Like if he had a purse, he'd slap him with it.
Yeah, and he disturbingly, like, almost takes pleasure in Luke's anger.
Oh, yeah, he drinks it up.
He's just like, oh, I can feel your anger. It's so creepy.
It's awesome, though.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this act.
There really is,
3 different stories going on at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
something
love the space battle.
Oh, me too. It's something that Star Wars has perfected. The battle on multiple fronts, with the Endor battle, the space battle, and then the Luke versus Emperor confrontation. Yeah.
And it's all cut at the right time.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what I was missing in the first act with all the stuff in Jabba's palace. And knowing that there was, we're missing out on stuff that could have been happening with Vader. And the space battle has one of my favorite all-time visuals in Star Wars. It's when it's from the point of view of, or we're watching the Millennium Falcon basically fly through like a parting sea of TIE fighters. There's so many of them. There's so many layers going on that I can't wrap my head around. This is a physical, stop motion sequence that they've filmed, or maybe not stop motion, but I just can't wrap my head around how they filmed this. How many layers of the different TIE fighters that are flying past, and
and it still looks good.
Still looks so good. And obviously, it's the background of it is a matte painting of the Death Star and the planet, which they look great. I've actually read that all the Death Star that we see from a distance in this one is all matte painting. They made no, that's not true. I knew that they did have a semi-completed facade, half hemisphere of the incompleted Death Star. So
right,
but yeah, just the visual of seeing the battle in space, and it's so well done.
Okay, and they're so excited.
Yeah,
I love just the whole thing with the Star Destroyers at one side not doing anything, and they're like, I wonder what they're waiting for, and oh my gosh, it's a trap.
Yeah,
and it's when they finally get the shield down and they're able to go into the Death Star. Well, one thing that's always bothered me is that the first Death Star blew up because they had an exhaust port that they didn't close.
Sure.
Or that was open and easy to get a bomb into. They put 4 of them in the second Death Star.
Sure.
They made 4 much easier to get into exhaust ports. And knowing that that's how the other one blew up.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think because they're relying on the shield generator, and even the Emperor knows the shield generator is going to be fine, because even if they try to take over the station, I've got he says, about a battalion of my finest troops waiting for them. So the entire downfall at this point of the Empire is the Ewoks. And it is, like Luke said, it's his overconfidence. And the Emperor cannot foresee a pathetic life form like Ewoks to make a difference. And that's the failure of the Empire every time.
Yes. But at the same time, do not design your second weapon with 4 of the one thing that blew up the other one.
Yeah, I guess I never realized or thought that they were 4 exhaust ports. I thought they were just going in because there's a gap right here because it's incomplete. Like it's just I don't know. It's just
Right.
a way.
Well,
it's just a way in because there's a big giant hole in the side of this incomplete station. So
That could definitely be it. But from in the war room where they have the hologram of the Death Star and they have the 4 trenches or tubes that you go in, definitely looks like that those are designed to bring a ventilation into the reactor room, which you would need. You would need ventilation. But like, put a grate over it.
Yeah.
Problem solved. Yeah.
So I had a question here I'm hoping you two can help me with.
Okay.
Is it Han or Han?
Han.
Depends on who. Yeah. It's Han.
I swear Lando said Han.
Lando says Han. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
He even says it in
he
Empire.
Also says Han.
Yeah. I'm very confused. Okay. So it is Han. It's just
and you got
accent.
Yeah. I think Dodonna in Star Wars calls her Leia.
Yep.
Like it
provided by General Leia.
Yeah. It just depends.
Okay.
Sometimes I say people's names wrong.
Yeah. Crystal Beth?
Crystal Beth.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. Just curious. I heard that. I was like, wait, am I saying this wrong?
No.
Do you want to talk about the epic battle between father and son?
That's pretty much where I'm at.
It's good.
It's good.
The music's amazing.
Oh, God.
There's some angry lightsabering going on.
Yes.
Like, it's just brutal.
It's angry Luke. And
yeah,
after watching it this time, I'm convinced that look of, like, primal rage that he has on his face when he's basically knocked Vader down and is just hammering him. It's angry Luke at Uncle Owen, at Obi-Wan, at Yoda, at Vader, at the Emperor. It's everything piling up on Luke, and he's not just hitting Vader, he's hitting everyone that's ever, the assholes on Tatooine who called him Wormy,
Yeah.
Like it's everything that he's wanted to get out in that moment. So that's
his inner Anakin.
Yeah, I mean that's how I see that moment. And it's all just being funneled and pointed straight at Vader, and he just can't withstand firepower of that magnitude.
And it's good. It's the first time you see what a lightsaber can do. Because you kind of get in Empire, he's just getting stuff thrown at him. And Darth Vader's like, haha, you're hilarious.
Right.
And in A New Hope, just the Battle of Obi-Wan is just funny.
Yeah.
But this was the first time when you're like, oh my gosh, lightsabers can do that. Like, and also I was like, oh, calm down, Luke. Please don't go too crazy. When he starts like whipping his lightsaber back and forth, I'm like, oh, that's gonna get bad.
I liked when Luke flipped up onto the platform and then Vader just threw his lightsaber to knock down the whole platform.
Yeah, it's a great move of using your lightsaber as a ranged weapon.
Yeah. And Vader's a little clunky. He can't do as many flips, I guess. So he's got to compensate.
He got some. Was it in here where he does like the swan dive off the platform and does like a tuck and roll or something?
In semi slow motion.
Yeah. The moments in the underside of this throne room when Vader's kind of like hunting for Luke, and you got the great dialogue of Obi-Wan and Luke popping out of the shadows and just hitting him on the attack. Is like you said, with the music, kind of that. Is it Gregorian chanting? Is that what it's called? Like the slow.
That guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
throat
good.
Singing.
Yeah.
But this whole battle comes down to, I think, Luke's ultimate plan, and that's to turn his father.
Yeah.
Because he knows he doesn't have the strength to take on both of them.
Sure.
And he's probably surprised he was able to, beat down Vader as much as he did.
Yeah, it's definitely it takes Luke by surprise, I think, as well. But just that rage, you know.
He got a taste of the dark side,
I think
and
so.
the power that his dad was talking about. But I mean, this was a huge gamble on his part.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's no way he was going to take them down, like, you know, traditionally.
Right.
It was all based on, you know, Dad helping him out in the end.
Mm-hmm. I get anxiety sometimes thinking about this scene. I know what's going to happen. I've seen it 1,000 times, but it's done well. With the music and the acting, and then with the Emperor being like, "Now you will die," and then it happening. It's like, ah! But then that being cut to with the space battle and Endor, and we said it before. The editing is just very, very good.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird trying to like they kept focusing back and forth between Luke, the Emperor, and Vader, like when the conflict was going on, and it's kind of weird because you can't really see an expression from Vader, but you get you still get some kind of sense that, you know, he's struggling.
Yeah, the looking back and forth at the two. Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprisingly well done because like it's got to be hard to get a robot face to emote anything.
Well, in the Blu-ray, he says no, right?
Right.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. Before
you don't need it.
Yeah. Because I think he says it, you know, no, you know, and then picks him up.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Stop adding stuff. It's like Monet. All his friends had to take his paintings away from him because they were like, "You're ruining your stuff. Stop it. Stop adding to it."
I guess, is there anything else about the fight sequence or any of the battles going on?
I'm good on the actual, all the battles, and definitely want to talk about the kind of the wrap up after the.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the, I guess, funeral pyre.
Yes.
That scene.
Yeah. Still gives me chills.
Yeah, and like the sort of shot of Luke standing in front of the fire, like sort of silhouetted.
Yeah.
As they pan away, it was just, I don't know, I love that shot.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of him staring out at the twin suns on Tatooine. You know,
oh yeah.
Kind of before this all got started, you know.
Oh, and I should say that my daughter was very confused when she saw Darth Vader's face.
Yeah.
She was like, huh?
Feeble, crusty old white man.
Because for whatever reason, she likes Darth Vader. And and the Ewoks, so she's very complicated.
Oh, I love it.
But she was like, ooh, we get to see his face. And then she was just like, huh, okay, moving on.
That's awesome.
She just looked at it like, huh, okay.
Not impressed.
So that's it, huh?
I
don't know what she was expecting,
Less cool.
But yeah. And there's something about, like, I don't know, like when I was a kid, I always thought his face would be like pruny, kind of like when you keep your hands in the water too long.
Yes.
Because I thought it would be very humid in there with the aspirator thing, and
yeah.
So I just thought he'd be like this wrinkly, like, what are those dogs that are?
Yeah, he's already pretty horrifying. Don't make it worse.
I just pictured like a Shar-Pei of sorts or something. But yeah, it's always been.
It's kind of a letdown.
And I'm like, I think I'm extra like thrown off now because of Rogue One and that guy with the oxygen mask, and like, it sounds like everyone got the same kind of voice apparatus or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a predecessor to the.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the voice is just, I don't know.
I think it's his age that really throws me off, because you don't expect Anakin to be, I don't know, 60, 70 years old, you know.
You don't expect a sick old man.
Right.
It's just...
Well, I thought the dark side, like, aged you, because didn't the Emperor sort of shrivel?
Yeah. I definitely...
Yeah, he got his, like, life sucked out of him in Revenge of the Sith.
Price you pay for all that unlimited power.
Yeah. So, I have no problem with him being an old dude. I mean, I'm cool with it. It's just...
He was so sweet. Like, his face is... Sebastian Shaw has a sweet face. Like, you would think years of being mean to everyone, his brow would be furrowed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually saw, like, smile wrinkles, like, on the corner of his eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he's just smiling the whole time he's in that mask, I guess. Maybe he just loved being evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of nice, though, to see his face, like, eye to eye, you know, Luke and Anakin. Because that's the thing I hated about Vader, was that he's always, like, covered, like you can't see what he's thinking or anything like that. I understood it, like, that's his character, but it was nice that they actually had, like, a little reveal so that they could connect at the end.
Right.
So I always liked it, even though it's kind of jarring.
I always liked at the end when Sebastian Shaw was with Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Sure, yeah.
Always liked that.
That always, as a kid, that bothered me, because I'm seeing, Vader's face for the first time, and he's basically looks like an egg, and then you see Sebastian Shaw in, like, the Jedi robes, and as a kid I was like, so who is that guy? Because that didn't look like the guy that was in the Vader costume, you know.
Right.
It took me a long time to be like, oh, it's the same actor, just without all the makeup and the, you know, it just really, really off-putting. So seeing Anakin or seeing Hayden Christensen I'm okay with that. That change didn't bother me.
Well, don't you think that Obi-Wan would go back to his youthful self too if he could then?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that that's when he changed to the dark side, but he also changed back again. So if we're going by when the light touched him, the light touched him right before he died. Yeah. So he should stay an old man.
Yeah. I think
it's not like... What was that?
No, I was just going to say that I think for me it's just because you never spend any time with Sebastian Shaw, you know. He's just a guy that was there to be the face, you know. So I have no connection with that actor as Vader. I think is the only reason that I'm okay with someone that I, you know, spent more time with.
Which I understand why they did it and everything, but logically,
sure,
it always bothered me a little bit.
Yeah,
not a lot. Just enough where when I was watching it again for this, I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you put him there?
Right.
He didn't earn that. He doesn't deserve it.
And really the Force Ghost lineup is missing Qui-Gon, but...
It really is.
And so was, what's her name? Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name.
Padme?
Padme. Was she not Force related at all?
No, she was.
Okay, so
just a human.
This was all Vader's gene pool then, with Luke and Leia having the Force.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if she was like Leia, where she was, you know, Force sensitive, but just didn't know it.
No, and that's what even Luke says about the line of, you know, the Force is being strong in his family, and you know, going down the family tree. So.
Okay.
So. I know the added sequences of seeing the different parts of the galaxy celebrating the fall of the Emperor. I know it bothers some people, but I think it actually makes sense because it gives you a sense of this is a galaxy-spanning saga that is finally come to an end, you know. So I'm okay with the seeing Coruscant and seeing Naboo and, you know, all the different places. Like,
this is exactly what I was going to say when I was like, oh, I'll wait for the what holds up, and I'll just say it now because it will connect them together, I guess. I for the longest time could not stand the new music because I loved the Yub Yubs so much.
Okay.
And the music has grown on me so much that when I was listening to it, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I forgot how much I like this song.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said it, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you just say that? Did you just say you liked the special edition thing better than that? But it fits because it transitions nicely with seeing the other places in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's good to see that it just shows that it's a bigger thing because all you see is this tiny pocket of the world in all of the Star Wars movies.
Right.
But it shows that, like you said, it's a whole galaxy thing. Like, good, you pull that statue down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rebel.
Yeah. I like the music too. I don't have a connection with the Yub Nub version, and probably because like when I got into Star Wars, you know, at normal age, I think, 10 or whatever, but I didn't really get into Star Wars until around 97 when the special editions came out, and then even more so the next few years with Phantom Menace. So, and I definitely didn't watch Return of the Jedi as much, you know, at that age. I was always more into Star Wars and a little bit of Empire, but
right.
So to me, like, this is the special edition and whatever other changes they've made since then are my version. Like, I don't have a big connection with the original, you know, theatrical version. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really see. I think it's because it went from the funeral scene straight into everybody celebrating in CG form that I found it jarring.
Okay.
Like it was just so vibrant and colorful. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I've always had trouble with the CG that's thrown in.
Yeah, the visuals. Yeah,
it just stands out so much.
Yeah,
so, and that's
I agree.
That's a part of my holdup as well. What holds up, what doesn't.
Yeah,
everything from the original, not special edition trilogy, holds up. All the stuff that doesn't hold up is the special edition stuff.
Yeah,
the new CGI. They put it in at weird spots. The banthas, when they have extra banthas that are crawling through the desert on the way to the Sarlacc pit, those don't look good. The band does not look good.
Oh.
Ula looks good because they have the same dancer.
Sure.
As the one that filmed 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like, those things are great, but the CG in it or the added CG, I think, takes a little bit away from the good stuff.
Totally agree.
I think most people would find it off-putting. Like, it's so blatantly obvious that it's CG when you're in a movie filled with practical effects.
Right.
You have like little snippets of CG work that just totally throw things off, and you know, at that point they hadn't really perfected CG.
It was all a test for Phantom Menace. Like, that's a big part of why they added those sequences is they were trying to build CGI set pieces and characters for Phantom Menace.
Wow, that's a ballsy move.
Yeah.
It is a ballsy move. I actually didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense. I kind of knew it just along the lines of like, oh, they're testing things, but I didn't realize that it was that was an actual thing that they were doing.
Okay. Then I think we're pretty much at the credits then.
I think so. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about our little segments.
Yeah, we sort of jumped into what holds up, doesn't hold up.
Yeah, and I'm guessing we probably all basically had that same
Yeah, I wrote everything looks good because of costumes and puppets.
Yeah.
So everything, you have real tangible things. It's going to look good forever.
Yeah. I will say, as far as the original material, I'm blown away by the matte paintings in this movie. Like, most of the time you see Vader's shuttle, like when it's docked inside the Death Star or wherever, it's a matte painting. And for years I thought they built a physical piece and it was sitting there, and when you see it from like the wide shots from a distance. But now knowing how much of that is just matte painting, it's so beautiful. And then the platform on Endor where Vader's shuttle lands, and you've got the trees, and the entire platform is all a matte. Like, that's holds up beautifully. The one area that it doesn't is when Lando and Han are talking about the Millennium Falcon, and they're standing in front of it, but it's a big matte painting, and that's the one that does not hold up for me as far as like original versions go.
Yeah, that's the one that stood out to me as well.
Yeah.
I noticed it.
We are all on the same page for this.
Right on.
I'd like to say that my daughter thinks that the mucus really holds up.
Ew, it does.
Jabba. Like all the other monsters.
Okay.
She's like, oh, he needs a Kleenex.
Yeah, that's yucky.
Like, there's some mucusy looking creatures in this movie, but it really does hold up. Like, it's kind of cool.
And I went into this one thinking, I think because of that matte painting, and just I always thought this was on the lower end of the production value, but really I was pleased at how well it actually did hold up. So, do you guys want to move on to most heroic?
Yeah.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
I just finally know what I have to do.
That keeps us honest.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Gives us strength.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
Makes us noble.
And I know in my heart that it's right.
Crystal Beth, how about you? What's your most heroic person or moment or?
I like when Lando is flying around, being all in control and doing such fun stuff, and like getting in there and just, I think he's my favorite part.
Okay.
And he's so excited. He's like, red group, gold group, all fighters, and I told you you'd do it.
Nice.
Like, I love that. And he has a much smaller part than everyone. And we have the regular heroes, the normal people. But I think that what Lando, Nia Nub, and Wedge were all doing going into the Death Star to knock it out that's what saved the day. And they're so excited about it. And he's like just concentrated enough. And he's still having fun. And
it is nice when he, tells Akbar, like, that they got to give Han more time. And, he knows that he can come through.
Let's see, I'm going to go with Leia, or basically the part where she seizes the opportunity to take down Jabba.
Right on.
Because it was kind of cool, because it's like, you got somebody that's enslaved, and then she kills the enslaver with the chains that she has been wearing.
Hell yeah.
And
right?
It's just like a epic like pose as she's like, pulling back while standing behind them, like just pulling as hard as she can. I just thought it was just a very heroic looking moment.
Yeah.
That and letting Han drop on his face out of the coconut thing.
Yeah.
I
really like that Leia moment too. Obviously, everyone loves it. And that was a big thing with all the women's marches too. A lot of signs about that.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I got to give it to Luke. Just despite all the odds against him, he was able to confront not only Vader, but the Emperor, and get close to the dark side and still manage to keep his cool and not go down that road. And
Yeah. That's strong. He's a strong man.
Yeah, with an honorable mention to the Ewoks.
Yep. Those booby trapping Ewoks.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so primitive with their fighting tactics, and they did so well. They're amazing.
I still like the 2 giant logs crushing the little walker robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best one.
I kept waiting for it. I'm like, it's now. Oh, damn it, no, now. I don't know. That's the one I always remembered for some reason. It was just the coolest, and then it's still the coolest.
Well, because it's one of those practically done things that still looks really cool. That thing getting smashed, from both sides.
I think they did a Mythbusters on that scene.
Yeah, using a van, and it's kind of weird how they went about testing it, because it wasn't like a 1-to-1, build or whatever. It was, we'll build a big platform and we'll use this van because it represents the ATST. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about most villainous?
You were made to be ruled.
Gods are selfish beings who fly around in little red capes and don't share their power with mankind.
In the end, you will always kneel.
I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
Ooh. I mean, is there anyone besides the Emperor?
I don't think so.
I think that it's hard to say that anyone else could be as bad as the worst person in this movie.
You're right.
Like, this entire universe is going through these problems because of this guy.
Yeah.
Jabba's pretty awful, but not like the Empire.
Right.
I mean, the Emperor.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Palpatine. You've become the worst villain ever.
Yeah.
You win, sir.
So we could just hit some of our pros and cons if it's something you haven't already mentioned, or.
I think I hit most of mine, honestly.
Okay.
I have a lot of pros for this. My cons would be that the editing's a little slow in the first half.
Yeah.
I think that, honestly, most of my cons come from what the special edition brought in with it and things that don't make sense now, but that's not the fault of this movie at all.
For me, the biggest con is that music number. I hate that music number. I always fast forward through it, which really drove me nuts this time because I was gonna review the whole movie, but I hate that music number in Jabba's palace. And it's not really, I don't know, it's shorter than I remember, so that's nice. But it just should
no purpose.
No, it should not be there at all. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm like I've said, I'm not as familiar with the original versions. Did this replace a musical number?
No.
Okay.
Nope. All it was a chill, the Max Rebo band in the back, chilling, doing their thing nice and quietly. There was singers, but it was quieter, subtle, exactly like it should be. This is not the focus of this scene. We do not care what the singers are doing. Continue making background noise. And then they did this whole, Ubi day, Lawa, Ubi day.
I love that. That's great.
You know that he's from Endor?
I did not.
Yeah, that creature is a native of Endor, another creature that is supposed to be primitive that doesn't speak and is usually kept as pets, but this one specifically was trained how to sing and do jazz stuff, and now is touring. These creatures were supposed to be in Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say after that.
Yeah, it's he's not my favorite. I mean, it's not his fault. And his name is Wowza.
Wowza, of course it is.
Joe Wowza, and it's a much longer name, but I'm not even going to try to say it, but he's Uzum is the name of Yuzzum.
Okay.
The end.
Okay, did you want to get into the rating?
Rating and overall thoughts?
Yeah. I'll let you go first.
I am going to give it... Oh, wait, can I go first?
Yes.
Do you mind?
Yeah, go for it.
I just realized. I was like, I'm taking all the fun. I want to give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Out of 7. No, I'm just kidding. Out of 5. Just because of the editing. Could have been picked up a little bit. And the blinking Ewoks bring it down a whole point. Half a point.
Okay.
Nice.
Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I wrote down 5, so I'm going with 5.
Okay.
Because I can watch this movie over and over again. It's enjoyable. It's sort of like the culmination of these two movies, where I'm finally seeing Luke actually, do something.
Yes.
Productive. Yeah. I mean, even Han is perplexed as to why Luke is going to be saving them and how that's going to work.
Yeah.
When he's thought out, he's like, Luke?
Yeah.
What the hell can that kid do? And it's just, it's a satisfying movie. I mean, it's got its flaws, but again, some of that's self-inflicted with the new edition. I wasn't as bothered with the editing in the first part because I thought it had a lot going on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't. It didn't bother me that it dragged on longer because, like, when they took off from the planet, I was like, oh wow, it's already been that long. But it went by so fast to me, like caught in the moment. I was surprised when you guys said it seemed to drag on. So yeah, I just love this movie.
Right on. For me, it's a weird little Star Wars movie, but it has some of my least favorite moments, and somehow also my favorite moments in Star Wars from the entire saga. And I definitely saw some new things in this one this time around that I didn't really have before, and that's happening a lot more frequently, I found, with doing this show. And so I was really, really happy that Return of the Jedi could show me something new and completely change my opinion of it. So I give it a 4.5, and I'm really just knocking it down a little bit. I didn't mention it really as part of my cons, but there's so little Vader in this movie. Like, he shows up to the Death Star, has some great lines. He talks to the Emperor then in the middle of the movie, and then obviously we get a lot of them at the end, but he also seems so watered down, like towards the... But that's a little thing, and then obviously the other cons, the special edition stuff and the song. So yeah, so 4.5 from me. So overall, we give it a 4.6666 whatever.
I feel like my rating is too low. Because it's, like I said, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I want to give it a 5, but it's the Blu-ray. It's those blinks.
You can change your rating. There's still time.
Oh, no. I'm going to stick to my guns. I got to do that more.
Okay.
I have to be like Leia, like I said.
Yeah.
She would stick to her guns.
Throw your slave chain around those Ewok eyes.
Exactly. They've made me stronger.
Well, all right, yeah. So this one definitely, going into it, like I said, I thought we'd kind of beat up on this one, kind of based on some of the how we felt about Empire, which we also gave a decent rating. But no, I'm really happy with Return of the Jedi. So
me too.
I was kind of scared to watch this one.
Yeah.
I heard that it's the lesser of the 3 original.
Oh, it's not though. Yeah. A New Hope is.
I don't know.
I've had many long discussions on it where the difference between a film and a movie for me, and I like watching movies, and we're not going to talk about it. This is not what this is about. We are appreciating Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I love all Star Wars, and I especially love Return of the Jedi.
Right on.
and Rogue One, but that's a different movie for a different time.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's pretty much all we can squeeze out of this one, then.
I think so. Well, Crystal Beth, you have been so awesome. And now is kind of your time to, any plugs you want to get out of the way, just talk about, where people can find you and all that. So.
Oh, sure. So I have been Crystal Beth, and you can follow me on Twitter at the Crystal Beth. And I also host a Movies by Minutes podcast called The Fifth Eleminute, and it's about The Fifth Element, the movie. And you can listen to that on iTunes or follow that on Twitter at Fifth Eleminute. And we have a website, www.thefiftheleminute.com. The Fifth Eleminute is just fun to say, hard to say.
It's impossible to say Fifth Element now for me.
It really is. When I'm like, okay, let's go watch The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
The Fifth Element.
It doesn't
movie.
Sound right, yeah.
Yeah, because it's Fifth Element. It rolls off the tongue so well. We were very lucky to get that pun. I was really surprised no one had picked it yet because I love it. And then you can also hear me as a guest on almost every Movies by Minute podcast. And you can look those up at moviesbyminutes.com. And I also host a video game podcast called Unlimited Lives Radio. And you can listen to that on iTunes or watch us stream live on twitch.tv/unlimitedlivesradio every Thursday at 6 p.m.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Hey, you're busy.
I'm busy.
I do have to say my favorite part in Fifth Element is when Bruce Willis gets hit over the head by the trophy.
Oh, we're coming up to that. That's so soon.
I love that. Like, his acting in that is so deliciously awful.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. We're about, I think we have another 2 weeks. 3 weeks from now is that. So okay. 9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to listen in on that one. That is by far my favorite.
Oh, I love it.
Very cool. All right, Travis.
Yeah.
So where can people find us?
Well, we are on various social medias at Real Comic Heroes on Facebook, Twitter. You can email us at realcomicheroes@gmail.com to let us know kind of what you think of Return of the Jedi and where it ranks in your list of Star Wars movies. We should be back with Octopussy.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Back in the Bond.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while, so... It's nice that the Bond movies are broken up, because at the beginning, when we were in the 60s and 70s, it was like Bond movie after Bond movie. So,
and then Captain America TV movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, okay, back to Bond. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I guess we will see you for another Bond movie, and hopefully I've gotten the taste of the last one out of my system. So, until then, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Credits.
Yeah. We never know how to end these, so it's always just a kind of trail off.
Nobody does him better. Over here, James. The newest and most exciting of all the James Bond thrillers. Step on it. This Bond tops them all. Roger Moore is Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Octopussy.
I'm Octopussy.
Octopussy, racing across the screen with thrills and excitement.
I don't know how to say goodbye.
Actions speak louder than words.